Welcome to a project I hate. It all began when I pulled out my project bin. When I'm feeling rather creatively blocked, I pull out this bin and I root around until I find something that strikes me creatively. This time around, it was a damaged 1950s dress that I got at a Goodwill Halloween section about a year ago in Colorado. My intention was to take this damaged dress and breathe some life into it with some TLC and a good old-fashioned thrift flip. Before you come for my throat, please know that I have worked in vintage fashion for many years, and no one loves vintage clothes more than me. Well, there probably are actually people that do. But I respect vintage clothes, but I also know enough about it to know when a piece is beyond its current wearability. And that is the case with this dress. As you can tell, there are some tears. The inside lining is almost completely shredded. The outer tulle also has a lot of snags and holes in it. And quite frankly, it's just not a very flattering cut, especially on me. And you know who owns this dress? I own this dress. And if I don't feel like it's flattering and I don't feel comfortable in it, I'm never gonna wear it in its current state. So for the alterations, I will be adjusting the silhouette. You will now be witness to my terrible fashion sketch skills. I am completely useless at drawing things, but here's the rough idea I had in mind. Enjoy. Okay, so those sketches were absolutely terrible, but what I decided to do first was to remove the zipper from the back of the dress because I would be replacing it with grommets for a lace-up corset style back. This wasn't structurally needed, but I just thought that it would look a lot nicer and a little bit more fantastical, which the theme for this dress is trying to make it a bit more fantastical. Like night circus in an unidentified time period that could be at any point between the early 1900s to the 1950s. No one knows. The next step on my fantastical unidentified time period journey was to remove the top part of the neckline and the essentially kind of like the strapless sleeve. That doesn't make the sleeves to make it strapless, and remove those tulle tails, which we will reuse all of the material that I remove from this dress later on because we reduce, reuse, and we recycle, and that's apparently difficult to say without getting twisted. I need to think these through more before I start recording. Anyways, the process of removing all of these parts of the dress was very slow going because I was being very careful with the seam ripper. The tulle, I think it's like kind of feels like a silk tulle. Like it doesn't feel like our modern day stiff tulle, but it was very, very delicate, like kind of disintegrating. So I was trying to be really careful with my seam ripper not to make things worse. And this is what I did next. I took some bias tape and I used it to kind of border both of the edges of the back opening that I created by removing the zipper. And then on the other side of that bias tape border is where I'm going to put the grommet. So I just wanted a slight bit more reinforcement since I will be pulling on those grommets. They're going to be a bit of a stress point on an already pretty delicate dress. This took quite a bit to try and pin things correctly. I was really trying to take my time anytime I was pinning anything because I wanted it to be done well. The dress already had some construction issues with it. I think it was a handmade dress from the 50s. So remember what I was saying about trying to be careful and to take my time? Well, so I'm not perfect and I've never claimed to be perfect, but I will say when you're sewing in the winter and your heater doesn't work, your hands get cold and you might not realize that you're stabbing into your fingers. I have to stop here for right now because someone is directly where I need to be to work, and yeah. I had to stop sewing to go outside because I thought I smelled smoke. It turns out I did, because this was in the pasture. It seems totally under control, so I went back inside. This is the point in the project when I have lost a lot of steam. Even right now, I'm editing what I've filmed so far and doing the voiceover while debating on if I'm even going to finish and post this video. I just didn't realize how poorly constructed the original dress was. I just tried it on and there's no lining on the inside of the bodice at all, and it's just kind of like janky. So we'll see. I mean, if you're seeing this video, obviously I finished editing it. And now we're back to my animals distracting me from finishing this project. This is Cornelius. He's a handsome young boy. This is Astrid. She is 3 years old. She was dropped off out here by who knows, some jerk, and she lived in our shed for a little bit until my youngest brother found her while he was house sitting for us. And now she's lived inside the house with us ever since, and I'm convinced she looks like Emma Stone. Tell me if I'm crazy or if she looks like Emma Stone. Like I said, I was losing steam / I have lost steam, but I found this little bug on the dress when I was sewing it, and that was kind of not ideal, but it did make me think that I should probably have some pink thread to finish this project because all I had was like a taupey beige thread. So I went on trusty old Amazon, and I just could not accept that that's how expensive a spool of thread was. Like, I know I'm cheap and I get most things secondhand, but I couldn't swallow that. So I tried Walmart because usually their crafting and sewing supplies is pretty cheap. But again, I was blown away at the cost for a single spool of thread. I know that one just said like $2 and something, but even that seemed like too much. I live in a very small town and we used to have a hobby store, but unfortunately it closed during COVID. The closest in-person like hobby store to me is Hobby Lobby, so I went onto their website after and I found exactly what I was looking for. 99 cents, baby. That's all I want to pay for a spool of thread. So it was time to go on an adventure. Yes, you read that right. I have never been to Hobby Lobby before, so I called my cousin and we went on our way and I found the thread almost immediately. And so then we walked out of Hobby Lobby and we got exactly what we needed and nothing more, and that was the end of the trip. Except, oh wait, no, we did not. I had to explore this great place of the lobbies of hobbies, and I found this guy. And I also discovered that this is the type of store that you can buy a bag of miniature horses for $1.99. Tell me that's not Cornelius. Finding miniature horses and stamps of my cat aside, there was a concerning amount of Grinch Christmas merchandise. And just when you think you were through, you would turn around and there'd be even more. Anyways, I bought a couple spools of pink thread. I went to a bakery and looked at the products that I can't buy because gluten hates me. And then I went back home to try and find motivation to tackle this project yet again. At this stage, I was sewing in the I was sewing in the boning channels to the bodice. I sewed in 5 boning channels to the bodice, hoping that it would help the otherwise frankly terrible structure of this bodice, but it did not. Yet I kept sewing and sewing and sewing and sewing. In this next clip, I thought I was recording an update, but I time-lapsed it, and I thought that was just a good representation of how this was going, so I left it in. So... Stop, Reggie! So I just finished putting all of the boning into the bodice of the dress. It's officially strapless as well. And now I'm going to add a bunch of like sparkly beads and sparkly stuff to it, because at Hobby Lobby I saw these sparkly pink snowflakes, but there was only 3, so I didn't get them, but it made me think that this dress really does need a lot of sparkle. So then I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make the neck ruff, and possibly make Reggie. I don't really know what happens here. I just kind of like zone out. I don't know. This project is killing me. These clips are slightly out of order, so this is actually some footage of me sewing in the boning channels to the bodice. Enjoy! This is where I really thought that I could save this project, even though I knew at this point that I was hating how it was coming out. I thought that the beading and the trim would save it, and I did really like how this pearl trim looked around the top of it, but this whole bodice was just wrong. Like, I'm not an expert sewer by any means, so maybe if I had more skill, I could have made it something better. But with the skill level I'm at, and with what the original dress was already constructed like, there really was just no hope for this to actually look good on a body. It is neck ruff intermission. That's right. I am going to show you how to make a neck ruff, which is, fun fact, the only part about this project that I actually ended up liking. I posted a short showing how to do this, and I'm just going to throw it in right here. We're going to make ruffs for free. Well, we're going to make them out of scraps from other sewing projects, so essentially free. Cut your desired fabric into long strips. They don't have to be even because it gives dimension to the ruffs, but then you're going to take a needle and some thread and fold that fabric back and over and back and over onto the thread that hopefully matches the color of your ruff. But you're going to do this a bunch of times, because when you pull that fabric taut, it's going to create your little ruff puff. And you're going to need a lot of these little ruff puffs for your ruffs. How many times can I say ruff in this? You're going to do it a lot until you get your desired length. Once your ruff is the right length for the desired customer, pin it to a piece of ribbon. I used old bias tape, and then you just stitch it with a couple stitches, fluff it up with your hands. Voila! You have a ruff for your cat, or your dog, or you, or whatever you want to put a ruff on. Now, a brief break from the tutorial to set some things straight, because some people, one person in particular, had a lot of concerns about me not taking the cans that I harvested the tabs off of in my previous video. I do take the cans, I just don't film it, because as you can see from this video, it's kind of boring and it eats up a lot of film time, and my phone is always running out of storage. However, I am realizing as I'm filming this that I neglected to see that water bottle until right now. I walk here every day, so I will be grabbing it tomorrow. And now back to this project. This is me putting in the grommets, which is a step that I should have avoided altogether. But you live and you learn, and that's what hopefully this video will serve as for me. After putting these in, I tried on the dress with it laced up, and I realized that the bodice just wasn't working. So I thought I would pair it with a soft corset top that I had. So I finished the dress, sort of. I did as much as I'm gonna do to it, and I made the ruffs, and right now I am procrastinating getting ready to shoot the photos and the final video, and I just don't know why I completely lost any sort of desire for this project at all. We'll see how I feel once I get everything together and styled. Maybe I'll find my love for it again, but as of right now, I just like feel kind of defeated by this project. So that's fun. Ooh. Yeah. hate this. I actually hate this. I hate this look. I don't like it. I like the ruffs. I like the ruffs that I made. I can see myself using these ruffs many times in the future, but this project was a waste of time. But I finished it, and my goal is to finish the projects that I start, so I guess that's a success in of itself, and maybe I can look back on this video a while down the road and see the progress that I've made on things that I make. So here it is. I ended up pairing it with this unboned corset thing just because the bodice of the dress really had no shape at all. Oh god, and I just stepped on it. Okay. I mean, for like a costume piece, I finished it, and I look like this now. I don't know. I'm trying not to let myself get too defeated by this, but I really am just like, feel like I wasted a lot of my time. But I don't know. You could probably hear Reggie drinking her water right now too. I think the next video I'm gonna go back to my wheelhouse that I feel comfortable in, which is gonna be, you know, weaving soda can tabs, probably incorporating some chainmail and just other things that I know I can make what I want to make with, and maybe just leave like sewing stuff and like garment, like fabric garment stuff to the side for a little bit because I'm just not happy. Just not that happy. Thank you for watching if you did watch all the way through. It's much appreciated, and I'm gonna go wash all of this off of me now. Bye bye!